I'm happy to be here again. Today I'm with Dr. Gilly Kahn, and she's one of our committed partners. She also signed up to write a letter in our book, Letters to Our Young Self. Dr. Kahn, can you introduce yourself, please?
Yeah, absolutely. So, my name is Dr. Gilly Kahn, and I'm a psychologist, a mom, a writer, and now an author. And I'm really proud to be a committed partner and to have contributed my letter to this book. I think it's very meaningful, and so I'm looking forward to talking about it.
All right. Yeah, I put off reading the letters until I'm introducing everyone, so I only read your letter today. And I have to say that it is jam-packed. It's a short letter, but it's jam-packed with lots and lots of details of what life is like when you have undiagnosed ADHD. What was it like for you to sit down and decide to write the letter?
I honestly, and in true ADHD fashion, put it off. But the nice thing that we did as a group is we scheduled body doubling time.
Uh-huh.
Yes, so I committed to doing that. And it's interesting because I finished the letter right before the body doubling time started.
Wow.
I think it's that we work ourselves up, we don't do the work. And then the time comes up, and I was worried that I wouldn't get it done during the hour that I had.
Oh.
So I started early and then I finished, but I ended up sharing it with Diane Winger, and it was still helpful.
Yeah, and what you say reminds me of people with ADD who's saying sometimes they show up early because they're so worried they'll show up late.
Yeah, I think it's based on real experiences, though. It's because we have
Oh,
run into situations where we ran out of time or we were late. And so I think there's some truth to it and it's protective. But yeah, you're so right.
I don't want to fail again,
Yeah.
so I'm working extra hard to go in the other direction. For me, and for some other people with ADHD, we find it very easy to write when we have something we want to write about. It's almost like it takes holds of us and we have to write it almost then while we're inspired. Is that sometimes how you're feeling with your writing?
100%. I experienced that yesterday. I was putting off, I'm usually very quick about writing blog posts, but then it's like after my book came out, I just completely burnt out and
Yeah.
deteriorated and
Uh-huh.
hibernation mode. And then I was feeling guilty, and I feel like that's typical. And like the shame of, oh, I haven't been working like I have in the past. And then I don't know what happened. It was like, and it comes at the most random time because normally I don't work at night. But then last night I was typing away until after 10 p.m. and I wrote a
Well,
draft.
Dr. Seuss inspired you.
Sure, Dr. Susan inspired me on the same day.
Yeah, I need to write about it. Did you think that writing your letter brought up any new ideas for you about your life or about ADHD in particular?
Yes, yeah. I think like a lot of late diagnosed women, I look back on my life and it takes effort because when I remember those experiences, I'm able to connect them to ADHD in some way. And I think that's what happened here. I was thinking about when I was younger, more like elementary school and moving through when I was a teen and the specific things I used to do and just envisioning being in my room. And it made sense within the context of ADHD.
So you're saying you were able to look back on your life through the ADHD lens and look at your behavior in a different way.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, so some of the things that you describe, I don't know if they're called metaphors, but the images you create are very, very strong. And I think people getting your letter will really feel like that little girl who's so full of energy. She's sitting at her school desk, pushing back and forth to let that energy out. And then when you talk about how your emotions are so big that they almost make you care too much.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yes. I loved writing even then. And so I kept diaries for a long time, like through middle school up to, I remember my first pregnancy, I was writing in a diary. And
That kind of a ventilation for you to write?
yes, it was like, I think one, it was therapeutic to
Yes,
write. Two, I think it helps the ADHD brain because there's like a mess in here. And so when I get it down on paper, I'm able to get to a point where I'm able to analyze like what's important to me, what am I feeling, and then what do I want to do with this? And
yes.
I think it was helpful in that way. But then also one of the things I wrote in the beginning when I first started my diary when I was 14 was that I said it's hard to be a teenager and I don't want to forget what this feels like. It has helped me too as a psychologist, just
Yes,
the
yes,
process.
to help you to, because some of us do. You mentioned too that you have a memory, you wish you had a memory that wasn't broken. And I wish that too, because we had so many experiences that without writing it down, we did forget. We do forget.
Exactly. Yeah. It's almost like I feel like I can't keep up sometimes, especially with everything I want to write and all the topics I want to learn about.
Oh, I see. Yeah, yeah. And then the thing you talked about, I wondered if you could talk more about being called an idiot. In what context were you called that? And was it one time that was so hurtful you remember it years later? Or was it that you were referred to as an idiot often? That sounds so hurtful.
Yeah, I write about this in my book a little bit. I think my interactions with my dad were pretty challenging. There was one incident, it was probably more because I was very vocal and I openly argued. I was afraid a lot of times to speak up. And yeah, there were moments where he called me stupid or an idiot. It was more about decision making, like forgetting things or making a stupid decision. It wasn't about my grades, it was more about life stuff. I think they were related to ADHD symptoms. I definitely called myself an idiot. I was probably the hardest person on myself.
Oh,
Yeah.
I
But
see.
then there were also moments where I would say something and it was a mistake because I probably spaced out with friends. And so they would look at me confused because they thought I was smart. But then I would say something out of left field because I
Ah,
was distracted. And so they thought it was like a dumb blonde moment.
yes, yes, I can relate to that. And so your dad was sometimes telling you that you shouldn't say things.
Yeah, he made me feel like I sometimes it's better to shut up. That was
Yes,
me.
yes.
Yeah, but I couldn't help myself sometimes.
No, we don't have the brakes on our brain.
Yeah.
But you talked about avoiding behaviors, wanting to avoid behaviors, I think, that brought you shame, that caused you shame. And one of those, but then at the end, you talk like you had a lot of pain, but you found a way to make it useful. How are you making your pain useful?
Like that's a work in progress for me. But one way I found to channel that pain is through writing. And that started when I was young, but it's something that like I feel good after I've written something and I'm proud of it. And also just being able to use that as an outlet for my feelings and becoming my own best friend too, because I think sometimes we rely too much on other people. And while it's important to have a support system, I think developing that self-love by reflecting on what you've done well or even what was hard for you and how you got through that, that has been really helpful for me through writing primarily. And then also just living life, just accomplishing my goals. I wanted to be a mom and I love being a mom and I love being able to watch my kids grow up because I didn't get to experience that as a little girl. I lost my mom when I was 4. Yeah, I think it's hard, especially for women with ADHD and comorbidities like anxiety and depression and other chronic pain. But I guess the bottom line is we make the best of it and we live life in a way that makes us feel full.
I guess you're talking that you had pain in the past, but you continue to have some pain now that you keep trying to stay on top of, to keep it under control by making sure you have positive input coming into your life.
Yeah, or to live with it. The therapy model that I really like is acceptance and commitment therapy, which is all about like living with painful emotions. And so it's like it's hard, but we allow them to be there and we learn how to work with them in a way that helps us be successful in life.
Okay, so In writing the letter, did you have any aspirations for it?
Aspirations for
Did you have any aspirations for the book?
I think writing the letter selfishly was therapeutic and I loved writing it. But then also, it came from a place of the goal is for others to see this as an exercise and to potentially do this themselves, maybe with a therapist or on their own, depending on what level of support they need. But that's what I think will be the result. I think hopefully people who read these letters can connect with them and they feel seen, but then maybe also it'll inspire them to think about their own experiences and turn them into something meaningful that makes
So
them
you're
happy.
saying the letter writing experience, writing the letter has a value.
Yes.
And I was surprised to hear you say you loved it because the women I've been talking to, most of us have found it very hard to write the letter. We were crying when we wrote the letter, but we were glad we did. So it was like the process was hard, but the result was gratifying.
Yeah, I was crying too, don't get me wrong. But again, tears have a place. It's an outlet. It's hard in the moment. You're a flower, right?
Someone was telling me it was like a caterpillar coming out of the cocoon and they have to struggle to get out. And then there's a beautiful result.
Yes.
Uh-huh. What you're hoping other women get out of the book is the inspiration to write their own letter or inspiration to reflect on their own lives, because that has a place too, that it makes us stronger if we can go back and confront the pain.
Yes, absolutely. That's the idea behind trauma-informed therapies.
To sit with it and to acknowledge it.
Yes, some people need additional support. It would be better for them to do it with a therapist.
Uh-huh.
Others may be able to do it without a therapist. But I think regardless, it's transformational, like it was for many of the women who participated.
I think it partially depends on how much you've been dealing with it yourself. You've been writing about it. For some of us, it was easier. Maybe for those of us that knew our diagnosis longer, it was easier because we've had chance to grow beyond where we started from. But some of the younger women told me they too, or they couldn't. It still was too hurtful. They were too close to the experience of living their undiagnosed life to have incorporated it into their self.
Yeah, everyone goes at their own pace and
Pace.
they do what's right for them.
Is there anything special that you would like to share with girls today that are learning about their ADHD?
That they're amazing, right? They're special in their own way. There are ways to highlight their strengths and the things that they love. I don't think that being vocal is a bad thing. I think it's a good thing. They can advocate for themselves. It's just that they need some support and other people understanding what their needs are.
Yeah, start their self-acceptance sooner in life.
Yes. Thank you so much, Cynthia.